What's up, everybody? We've come down to it. This is our A blues scale or concert G. This is the last one, so I want to try and get in as much as I can with all the rest of the information that I want to get to you. So let's get started. So we're in the key of A. Let's get going. So once we are in our higher range, once we get to our palm E as a traditional way of playing this scale, which I'll do first, I would go to G by playing the B natural key with the high F sharp key or magic altissimo fingering number 3. And then from there, going from that G to A, I would do the A that I just showed you previously, which is 2, 3, and G sharp key, which I call a vented G sharp fingering. Vented meaning first finger up, split meaning second finger up. So in this case, vented G sharp, 2, 3, and the G sharp key in order to play A. Now from there, that sets us up very nicely to go to our split F, which is 1, 3, and 4 in order to play C natural, just like we did before. And then from there, that C natural, I go to our D, which I play with the front key. And here is where we can begin to have a lot of fun. Once we get to this D, I'm going to show you now 4 fingerings that I use for E flat. Mainly when I'm playing this scale, the E flat that I use when I'm going up to the E flat and back down is exactly like C sharp. So your open C sharp, you overblow that and you get an E flat. So when I'm playing this A scale and I get to this D, I'll show you what it looks like here, and then you listen and hear what it sounds like when I get to the E flat. So you can have a lot of fun with that. So that's one way that I play E flat, which is an open C sharp fingering. I overblow it to get E flat. Another way, when I'm playing the scale further up, the way that I do that is with the front key, I add our high F sharp key. So front key and high F sharp key also plays E flat. Once we get to our E natural, in this case, I like to use the 4 key. As I talked about before, the actual E natural fingering is just the bis key, but due to its impracticality of using the left hand in order to play it, it's just simpler to use either 4, 5, or 6, or some combination, or all 3. In this case, I always use number 4, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you another E flat fingering that I use, which is exactly like palm F sharp. If you use your palm keys to play F, remember you got your side key and then you add your high F sharp key. That's another way that I play E flat. I use that when I am descending from the high E natural, and you get a really nice effect. I may have played it in the example earlier, but you get something like this. So you get something like that. It gives you a lot of mobility in a key that we play in a lot. So that's a nice palm key roll that you can use in this key. And then from that E that I'm using to play with the number 4 finger, I go to G, which is 2 and 3, or a vented G, but I just call it 2 and 3. And then for A, I usually just use the C natural key in order to play A. And before I forget, the 4th E flat fingering, if you remember back from the other lessons, was just the C key also. So you get your E flat with the C key, you overblow it, and you get your A. Now this A can be a bit problematic to get out. You almost always wind up undershooting it. So it's the next overtone in this series that you have to really get real tight. I don't want to say tight, but you have to get firm right here and make sure your airspeed is consistent in order to get that A out. I find myself using this A about half as much as I used to use it, and one that I'm actually using a lot now is one that's from the Sigurd Roscher book, which is 2, 3, the D key, and the 6 key, which I'm gonna be honest with you, like I use variations of a theme when it comes to that finger to play A. So from there, we have that A natural, and then for C natural, I go to the front key, and then to D, I go to the 2 and 3, just as I've done in all the previous lessons. So if I'm just starting this scale from the Altissimo A, I'm not going to start with that vented G sharp finger. I'm going to start with the vented D fingering, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So from there, I would pretty much play everything exactly the same. So one of the things I'm going to teach you real quick is an alternate D. Instead of using this palm D, when we get to it, I use the altered Ds that I showed you before. I don't know if you can hear all that noise, but sorry, because I won't be able to edit it out. But in order to play D, in that case, remember I talked about our flute F sharp, which is 1, 2, 3, and 6. And I also mentioned that you can leave the first finger up. So you remember back from our F lesson, our B flat lesson, you can also use 2, 3, and 6 in order to play an A flat with a nice multiphonic. You underblow that and you get a very nice D. It sounds really full. It's a very bell oriented type of sound. It sounds like this. So from that position, if I know I'm only going up to the D or even an E flat, now it looks like we got ourselves in a problem, because 2, 3, and 6 going to a palm E flat is a bit it's a bit cumbersome and clunky. So what I like to do with my pinky, I don't know if your horn is set up in such a way that you can do this, but this is a really nice effect that you can use. With my 6th finger, I have the 6th key down, and then with my pinky, I press the side F sharp in order to get a D to E flat kind of bluesy thing. The intonation is a bit flat, but man, it's a very effective device to use. So it sounds like this. So you get the idea how much fun you can have with something like that. And keeping in line with that, when I play this scale, or any blues scale for that matter, when I'm in the blue area, I like to deliberately accent the blue note. In this case, it's going to be the E flat. I almost never like to play that E flat in tune. I like to play it a bit low when I know I'm just going between D and E flat, and you get a really nice bluesy effect that really enhances the timbre and enhances the style of the music. So you get something like. So when you do that in the Altissimo range, it really starts to come alive. And I do this thing a lot. It's probably in every video that I'm in, and I'm playing in this key. So you get that kind of effect. So usually throughout the horn, I'm trying to find tricky ways around the blue area of a scale. So if you go back through all these lessons that I've been talking about, I'm always trying to find some type of easily chromatic or easily way around the blue areas of the scale, just so you can do those type of things. You can vocalize into the instrument in order to get that false multiphonic or that altered kind of dirty sound that you get when you do that. So there's some other stuff I want to show you real quick also. I talked about this other E before. It's one of our more awkward fingerings, and it's based off of our flute F sharp fingering. If you remember back, it's flute F sharp, low C, and a high F sharp key. When we play E this way, we can get a nice multiphonic with it if we adjust here. And usually in this case, I'm using that to go to this B natural and high F sharp key in order to play G. So it's a nice way of going from E to G, and then from that G to R, 2, 3, and G sharp key in order to play A, or the vented G sharp. So you get something like that. Now with that E flat that I just did, based on what I was just telling you, you can really bend. I mean, this is a magic altissimo key for a reason, and it's magic altissimo fingering #1, because you have so much that you can do with this. So I like to do that a lot when I'm going from that E flat and or D to E flat and really pushing it and bending it and trying to find other keys to play it in, which is why if you notice a lot of stuff that I'm showing you around the blue area, I usually make a point to bring out, hey, this is the blue area, and you can do this kind of easily chromatic thing where you can have some pitch bends because it gets a bit rubbery up there. So you got to really make sure that if you're doing something like that, you're doing it on purpose. So there you go. So I think the last thing I want to show you about the key of A, or A blues scale, is not so much related to playing the blues scale, but it's a nice little one finger trick that you can do to negotiate your way around some arpeggios in the altissimo register. Now I talked a little bit about using 3 in order to play A. So with one finger we can play A with just the 3. With our one finger we can play C sharp with just the B natural, and with one finger we can play our E natural with just the 4 finger. So sounds like this. So, and then we can play the A that's above that just using the C natural key. It is one of the simplest ways of negotiating around, at least from a finger technique. Here, gotta have it dialed in pretty good, especially when you hit that A that's up top. So, another thing that you can do, if you remember back when I talked about playing C, instead of using a split F, 1, 3, and 4, you can just use your 1 and 4, or what is commonly known as 1 and 1 B flat, in order to play C natural. So, we can play our A with just the 3 key, and then we can go to C natural by 1 and 4, and then keeping the 4 down, we just lift off of this key in order to play E, and then back having the 1 and 4, all the while keeping this key down in order to play C, and then only using the 3 key without the 4 to play A. So it's a nice kind of C or A, C sharp, E, or A, C natural, E. And then obviously you can hit the A on the top with the C natural key. So it should go something like this. So something like that. So have fun with that. I hope that all of these techniques and whatnot that I'm showing you are helping you out a lot. Another relatively traditional way that you can approach playing this scale from your high A into the altissimo is to use the front E coming off of your palm E flat. So you play your A, C, then you get the palm D, palm E flat. From there you go to your front E, and then from your front E to your front key in order to play G, and then from that front key you can use your 2, 3 and G sharp key, or their vintage G sharp, in order to play A. So that sounds like this. So that's pretty simple stuff. So I'm going to show you a really freaky way of playing this scale. I never ever do it because I just don't. But you get some nice weird timbres, and you get a nice multiphonic on the G. It's one of the other Gs that I showed you. But you start, once you get to your D, instead of using your palm D, use your 2, 3, and 6. And here's a funky one. When you get to E flat, you basically just finger your E flat, and then you add the low C sharp. Now there's going to be a big change that's right here in order to go from that D to that E flat. So from that E flat to E natural, if you remember back when we overblow our E flat, we get an E natural that's above that. So all we do is lift off of this low C sharp while keeping our E flat fingering down in order to play E natural. And then from that E natural to the G, we use our 1, 2, 3, 4 and side C. That gives us that really nasty multiphonic that we like with that G. And then in order to play A, we use our vintage D, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'll play that for you now. Sounds like this. Yeah, so I never ever play like that, and I have to really like work and think about what I'm doing. But that's yet another way you can play this. There's a lot of versatility. You're going to play in this key a lot, so have fun with that. So thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. That's been all 12 of our blues scales in the altissimo register. I hope it's been a lot of help. I hope it's given you some creative ideas and some creative ways around certain problematic areas on the horn. So I'm going to think of what my next project is going to be, maybe something more multiphonic or a separate way of approaching altissimo outside of just blues scale. So I'll think up something and come up with something next. So stay tuned, and I'll keep them coming. See ya.